And, I got to tell you, within our tags on Twitch, one of the tags that we use, because we sometimes talk about it, is gaming news. I don't know whether that's hurting us or helping us, but sometimes we use it. And so I figure we owe it to ourselves to, on Twitch, right? Aren't they like a...
Sure, they're like a game-centric place, right?
Centric. I mean, they were. Now it's mostly like titties and stuff. Whatever, that's their business.
I'm a fan of titties, too.
I'm a fan of titties, too. But I figure we owe it to ourselves to do a little bit of gaming news today. There is an interesting article in the news, so let's go to the screens, guys. Sony reportedly censoring violent depictions in games. If you don't know, Sony, who is a AAA game studio at this point, their newer games that are coming out, they want to make them less violent. Ooh, violence in video games is bad, Phil. I feel like we maybe have heard this before, and here we go. Sony says, this shit's getting too violent. Jumping on heads is more than enough. You can't use actual weapons. Well, I feel like that's a big mistake when one of the biggest selling games in the world is Call of Duty. I think you're making a big mistake here, Sony. But it gets worse than this. Politicians who have no financial connection to the industry are even worse. Grand Theft Auto is among violent video games to be banned in Illinois. So now in Illinois, they're trying to yobagoya the shit out of Grand Theft Auto out there, man. That taste will destroy you, as they say that violent video games need to be pulled off the shelf. Now, I question the efficacy of any law they could put down when it comes to things like Steam or Epic Games where you don't buy a physical copy, but I am interested to know if there are like black market hard copies of GTA floating around in Lincoln, Illinois or whatever,
You're telling me I can't drive around on the freeway in Los Santos, but you're okay with me walking around eating a ton of mushrooms and jumping on people's heads?
Correct. See, now you're getting it, Phil. Now you're understanding what it's all about. But I got to tell you, I feel like I've heard all this before. Now, I want to take you back real quick, friends. Let's go way, way back to a time when nobody was alive, into ancient American history. The year was 1993. Now, I know this is a long ways back, but guys, back then, something kind of similar happened to this, and there was a coalition in 1993 to develop a rating system for video games. Right?
Right.
Okay. Now that's interesting, man. Because at the time there was a lot of people complaining, politicians' wives primarily, bitching and moaning quite a bit about violent video games. I wasn't gonna say Tipper Gore, but I'm just saying.
I did. Who said that? I just sneezed.
Tipper Gore. Excuse me. Sorry. So at the time, they said that people are becoming too violent and that video games are to blame for their violence. Now it's 1993 at this time. And the year now, as you might know already, the current year is 2021. If you were to go back 1 year in American history, what kinds of things happened in 2020? Let's look at a parallel with 1993. What kinds of things happened in American history in 1992? Well, as you might remember, it's a little bit of a scuffle in Los Angeles. I don't know if y'all remember any of this.
Tiny one, yeah.
Just a bit.
But it wasn't the only thing.
It's a pleasant disagreement.
Right. There were riots then. There was violence on the streets. Violence had gone up in the American streets at that time. And again, at that time, they attempted to blame video games for making people violent. In fact, there was even a congressional hearing in 1993 where they brought up games like Mortal Kombat and Doom and all this shit and Leisure Suit Larry and blah, 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 about this ruining the fucking, this will ruin our kids. The parents have no responsibility whatsoever. Your typical malarkey from the fucking federal government. They ended up getting their fucking way, and they established what's known as the ESRB, the Electronic Software Ratings Board. Now, this is no big deal. We have ratings on movies and ratings on music. Doesn't prevent me from getting anything that I want. So, whatever. I mean, if this gives parents a tool to use to suggest content for their children, great. Unfortunately, that is not what happens. The parents still take 0% responsibility when all of these kind of things go on, even though in the 90s, we already created a tool so that it would not be necessary to remove violence from video games. For the same reason, we don't need to remove violence from movies or TV or music because they can carry a rating that lets you know it's not for children. Well, we did the same thing. So what the hell
Yeah.
is the fucking problem? I feel like there's nothing to goddamn worry about out here.
I don't know, but I like the ESRB rating system because I look for the M games because I know they're going to be the good ones.
That's fair, man. I mean, now you guys tell me. You know how when you watch like premium cable or some streaming services, at the beginning it'll go, the following is made for mature audiences only, and it'll show you that screen. And when it has like 8 of the things on there, you know, it's usually a horror movie. Or like, hell yeah! So it'll be
I'm in for a treat.
It'll be graphic language, adult content, sexual situations, extreme violence, nudity, drug use, but like it lists the whole thing. You're like, I'm
That sounds
already into it. So
Sounds
really,
like a party to me.
that's right. I'm pro ESRB for exactly that fucking reason. And my problem here is they put zero responsibility on the parents. They love to put this mom's picture on the fucking thing, and maybe she's doing the right thing, because all it would really take to avoid things like black market copies of Grand Theft Auto is just fucking talk to these little bitches. You know what I mean? Violent video games aren't fucking it up. You, the parent, are the one fucking them up, man.
Thank
it's not
you,
difficult.
Julie Jargon, man.
Yeah, it's not
That is
too
the
hard to
author
go,
of this.
hey, here's things that are real, and here's things that aren't. Shit, I grew up watching Looney Tunes. I've not yet once dropped an anvil on someone's head. Not that I wouldn't. Not for lack of trying, but, you know.
I
it's
completely agree, but I do spend way too much money on Acme products.
That's fair.
It's
That's
an
fair.
easy way to just push off responsibility
Right.
for your shitty kids.
Everybody just wants to reflect responsibility. The parents are deflecting to the companies. Boom. And then in addition to that, now the government is now deflecting responsibility over to the creators. And I'd be hard pressed to find a scenario where I agree that the creators are the ones at fault here. You know what I mean,
Especially
man?
when it comes to a place like Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, oh God,
Yeah.
You're telling me that politicians are deflecting? No.
Oh, you mean a politician lied to get their way? That's amazing. All I have to say about all of this, just to wrap this up, Doom is pretty dope.
Yeah.
I'm not a criminal. I'm an artist working in an unpopular medium. Can I just speak to you? I mean, really speak to you like man to man. I've known you for a long time, William. And I know about your penchant for